U.S. companies told to prepare for Russian cyberattacks. Supreme Court nominee hearings, and Zelenskyy wants to meet Putin face to face. Then more on this week's headlines. America Uncovered, I'm Chris Chappell. President Biden told U.S. companies to better secure themselves against Russian cyber attacks. The White House said that intelligence suggests Russia is planning direct cyber attacks on the U.S. in retaliation against America's sanctions on Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. So this retaliation was a retaliation for another retaliation. I guess that's better than Russia's usual reason for committing cyber attacks against America. Just for funsies. Ain't I a stinker? However, the Kremlin denied they were planning any cyber attacks against America. Oh, well, there you go. No reason to worry. They're not planning to attack us. They said so themselves. And if you can't trust the Kremlin, who can you trust? According to the Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber and Emerging Technology, there is no evidence of any specific cyber attack that we're anticipating. There is some preparatory activity that we're seeing, and that is what we shared in a classified context with companies that we thought might be affected. And Biden told CEOs they have a patriotic obligation to protect themselves against these potential cyber attacks. In other words, patriots have to secure our digital borders from foreign invaders. Forget a press conference, Biden should hold a rally. Build that firewall! Build that firewall! Apparently, all these allegations against Russia are starting to hurt Vladimir Putin's feelings, including the new sanctions Biden announced against Russia this week. Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that America's relationship with Russia could collapse over these sanctions, and especially over Biden calling Putin a war criminal. Such statements from the American president, unworthy of a statesman of such high rank, put Russia-American relations on the verge of breaking. Putin is threatening to stop being friends with Biden just because he called him a war criminal? Hey, that's what a real friend would do. Your best friends aren't the ones that tell you what you want to hear. They call you out and tell you what you need to hear. Kind of like when they say, you can't pull off wearing bangs. Why don't we go get you a haircut? Then after, let's grab some ice cream and stop attacking civilians. Biden met with several CEOs from some of America's biggest manufacturing, energy, and food companies this week. The meeting was to discuss ways to alleviate price increases and supply chain disruptions amid the war in Ukraine. And the president could have used a real friend to tell him to be more careful with certain phrases, like when he said this to the CEOs.
As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. And we've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it.
Biden was referring to right now being a time of historical change. However, since he called that a new world order, many people took this as confirmation of a conspiracy theory that the Earth is secretly run by a totalitarian one-world government. I can't blame them for thinking the new world order is real, since Biden literally called for a new world order, but you can relax. Biden isn't going to run the new world order, mostly since the NWO is already run by Hollywood Hulk Hogan for life. Also, there's no way one government can run the globe. Since the Earth isn't a globe, it's flat. Stop believing in such nonsense, you wackos. Sadly, Biden didn't also meet with the CEO of Netflix at this meeting. And he should have, because Netflix announced they were testing out charging extra for account sharing. Look, I'm willing to wait 6 months to receive a package I ordered. And I'm willing to spend $7 on a gallon of gasoline. But if you're telling me I'll have to start paying my ex from 9 years ago, whose Netflix accounts I've been secretly leeching off of, then things have officially gone too far. It's not my fault she doesn't know enough about cybersecurity to change her password. She really should have done her patriotic obligation. Although I guess it is time I should grow up. Okay, I'll stop using my ex's account and Finally get my mom to add me to her account. Like an adult. More after the break. Welcome back. A storm system caused severe weather across the South and massive damage in Texas and New Orleans where tornadoes touched down. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said many of our fellow Texans are facing the same challenge as we speak right now. I want everybody across this entire state who's going through this to know the state of Texas is going to be with you every step of the way. It's nice to see Texas working to resolve this problem itself instead of resorting to what seems to be their new way of solving every issue, encouraging citizens to sue the tornadoes. Speaking of courts, Biden's Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson had her confirmation hearings this week. And as you'd expect in this political climate, they were completely cordial, nonpartisan, and ended in a big old group hug. Just kidding. Jackson was attacked by the GOP and accused of being lenient on people arrested for child pornography. Even conservative media called these attacks disingenuous and misleading. The reasons for that are kind of complicated to explain, involving a debate over sentencing guidelines. But the upshot of that is that according to a former federal prosecutor, also a conservative, who handled many child pornography cases, Jackson's views are mainstream, which doesn't actually make me feel better. What if Jackson isn't too lenient on child pornography? What if everyone in power is too lenient on it? Also at the hearings, when asked if she could give a definition of the word woman, Jackson said, "No, I can't. I'm not a biologist. In my work as a judge, what I do is address disputes. If there is a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the law and I decide." President Biden promised he would nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. Hopefully we can get a biologist to confirm that he did, in fact, nominate a woman, whatever that means. But we can at least say that she is indeed black. After all, we can still judge people based on the color of their skin. Despite this, Jackson asserted that she was independent and didn't have any political leanings. I don't think anyone could look at my record and say that it is pointing in one direction or another, that it is supporting one viewpoint or another. But Senator Lindsey Graham wanted to know about her religious leanings.
Do you attend church regularly?
Well, Senator, I am reluctant to talk about my faith in this way.
Graham followed up by saying, "You're reluctant to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. Just imagine what would happen if people on late-night television called you a effing nut speaking in tongues because you practice the Catholic faith in a way they couldn't relate to." Graham did this in retaliation for the way Democrats and the media retaliated against Donald Trump's Supreme Court pick Amy Coney Barrett and her Catholic faith. So, this retaliation was a retaliation for another retaliation. At least it's better than Republicans and Democrats' usual reason for attacking each other: fear-mongering to keep themselves in power. Ain't I a stinker? These Supreme Court nominee hearings are such partisan hack jobs. At least we won't have to see another one for a long, long time. What's that, Shelley? 73-year-old Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was hospitalized for an infection and experiencing flu-like symptoms. And no updates have been given on his condition after several days. Great. I feel like it might not be that much longer before we go through all this again. In fact, the only update we've got is from TMZ. Yeah, the media outlet that follows around celebrities. TMZ tracked down Justice Stephen Breyer at a restaurant in D.C. Breyer said he thought Thomas was doing fine. Thank goodness. That means we won't have to sit through more hearings. Look, I understand the importance of experience, but if it guarantees I won't ever have to sit through another one of these hearings in my lifetime, then I'd be in favor of replacing the entire Supreme Court with 16-year-old TikTokers. After all, Supreme Court justices are nothing if not influencers, and at least this way, whenever I listen to a ruling, I can also get cool makeup tutorials. And after the break, the Russia-Ukraine war rages on. Welcome back. Russian forces bombed a shopping center in Kiev, killing 8 and damaging several buildings. According to a Russian Ministry of Defense spokesperson, Russia attacked this center because it was storing rockets. High-precision, long-range weapons on the night of March 21st destroyed a battery of Ukrainian multiple rocket launchers and a store of ammunition in a non-functioning shopping center. This has upset many Americans who wonder, why don't any of our malls have rocket launchers? That'd make the perfect anniversary gift. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has called for a direct meeting with Putin to discuss terms for ending the war. He said, without this meeting, it is impossible to fully understand what they are ready for in order to stop the war and what they are ready for if we are not ready for this or that compromise. Understanding what Russia wants to end this war will likely be difficult, as Putin hasn't been able to keep his story straight about why he started the war in the first place. Was it over fear of Ukraine possibly joining NATO? Denazification? Preventing Ukraine from committing genocide on Russian-speaking regions? Anger over Ukrainian-born actress Mila Kunis marrying Ashton Kutcher? She could do so much better than that annoying dude from Punk'd. Even if they do meet in person, discussions will be difficult. Not just because Putin has historically not been great at compromise, but because it will be hard to hear each other from across Putin's ridiculous table. We want you to stop the assault. What? You want me to pass the salt? Zelenskyy said what he hopes to gain from meeting with Putin are the end of the war, security guarantees, sovereignty, restoration of territorial integrity, real guarantees for our country, real protection for our country. He also said, I think that we have to use any format, any chance, in order to have a possibility of negotiating, possibility of talking to Putin. But if these attempts fail, that would mean that this is a third world war. And no one wants that. Well, except the profiteers in the military-industrial complex. They probably have World War III on their vision boards. Hopefully negotiations will be possible. The first step is finding some common ground. No matter the bitter feelings between the two, I'm sure both sides can at least agree that Netflix cannot be allowed to start charging for sharing accounts. Even someone as mad, evil, and/or desperate as Putin can put aside his differences and focus on the real bigger issue facing his country, nay, the entire flat world. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, America Uncovered is supported mainly by viewers. Be sure to visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Or you can join our exclusive social media community on Locals. Check that out at americauncovered.locals.com. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.